Dear Misty, I need some advice. I'm not really close to my relatives. When I was younger, some of my cousins beat me up saying very homophobic things. It ruined me. Even years later, it made me distant from my family. Also, my relatives don't care for me. Should I forget they existed? Love, Angel. Angel, that's a really tough question for me to answer because my family never beat me up, but I know that they talked a lot of shit about me. My mother and her siblings, all they do is trash each other kids. Meaning, my mom has 2 gay kids, me and my brother. So they're like, oh, well, my kid might be this, that, and but your kids are gay. And then my other aunts and uncles might look at them and be like, well, my kids are blah, 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 but your kids are in and out of detention centers, or your kids have a criminal history, or your kids are fucked up, or this. Your kids have drug problems, or whatever. What I'm trying to say is nobody's family is perfect. Not even mine. And the cool thing about family is blood is thicker than water. And what I mean by that is family are the only people on the world that are going to love you no matter what, but also they're going to throw your shit in your face. Be like, oh my god, you just got so fat. Oh my gosh, what happened? Why are you so fat? They're not afraid because they're family. You know what I'm saying? That goes extra double for anything extraordinary like homosexuality. Now, my family, I honestly rejected my family before they had their chance to reject me because I knew it was going to happen. When I was little, my uncles would say things like, oh my gosh, he's queer as a $3 bill. One of my uncles used to buy me, I didn't know what this meant until years later, and I didn't get the joke because I wasn't out. But my uncles knew I was gay ever since I was a little kid. And one of my uncles used to always buy me soap on a rope. And everybody would laugh and laugh and laugh when I'd open it, because I'd always get Old Spice soap on a rope or Brute soap on a rope or whatever. And my family thought it was fucking hilarious. Well, years later, my uncle who was in the military, I found out that they would do soap on the rope as a joke because don't drop the soap in the shower. Oh, girl. So yeah, long story short, I knew that my family made fun of me to my face, but behind my back to my face, and I didn't want anything to do with them, to be honest. And I knew that my Christian immediate family would be like, you're going to hell, peace, which they did. So, to be honest with you, I created my own family, I created my own life, I created my own loved ones, and I forgot about them. But I say blood is thicker than water because in the long run, in time, it took 10 years for most of my siblings to fully come around and be like, hey, I love you no matter what. But all of my siblings have come around and told me that within 10 years. There are 7 of us, by the way. And they all have kids except for my gay brother. They all have kids. Like kids, not singular. They all have children. And they're like, I want you to meet your nieces and nephews and stuff like that. So recently, my brother moved back to Alaska to be near family, and I went up last summer while it was still nice. And I visited all my siblings. And that's the real reason I went. It wasn't because I wanted to see all of my family. I did. Thankfully, I chose, I had a dual cousin wedding. 2 of my cousins got married on the same day. And I got to see a lot of family, but I wasn't forced to really talk to them because everybody was busy doing things. I got to really, this is what happened. Like I'd be sitting there talking to somebody or whatever, and one of my uncles would walk by and pat me on my shoulder. And like subconsciously rub me and pat me as if to be like, hey bud, letting you know I'm not afraid to touch you, peace, and then walk away. You know, or I'd shake their hand or give them a hug or whatever. There wasn't any real communication. Nobody said, how are you? How's your job? What's going on with your life? Because they don't want to know, but they were, I guess, mature enough that time had passed to where they know that I am who I am. I'm not going to change. You can't I guess they realize that you can't tough love me or religiously abuse me, throwing Jesus down my throat saying, choose God or going to hell, because they've tried that. And it didn't work. And I'm still who I am. and I'm not going to change who I am for them. So they kind of realize that, you know what, maybe we need to change. And I think gradually they are. You know, now, recently, most of my cousins have started to message me and become friends with mine on Facebook and let me know that they miss me and love me. And one of my cousins was actually going to go on the drag cruise, but she got pregnant. And the due date is really close to the cruise date, so she had to cancel her trip. But that would have been awesome to hang out with one of my cousins. Anyways, family's fucked up. Everybody's family. Nobody's perfect. And the people that are really, really perfect, picture perfect, they're hiding skeletons that they don't want anybody to know. Trust me, I grew up in the church. Watching a preacher, not my dad, but a preacher preach on the pulpit against smoking, but yet my parents smoke, would come to my house and then smoke. And I remember thinking, but I just watched you preach about smoking. There's a lot of hypocrisy, is what I'm saying, in the church, but also in your family. But the real story is, I don't know how old you are, but in time has a unique way of healing all wounds, family-wise. But I'm sorry, I guess I should finally answer your question. You need to take care of your heart and your soul and your mind. If that is blocking off those people so that you can heal and you can be your own person, that's what I did. I said, look, peace. I'm going to Florida, the farthest state in the United States of America from you. Not to be spiteful, because I really love swimming, I love the beach, I love dolphins, it's my favorite animal, I love water, I wanted to be a mermaid, I love scuba diving. Florida, I just love Florida. And I hate snow. It just so happens to be the farthest state from where my family lives, most of my family. So that's what I did. Part of me regrets it. You know, going back and seeing my brother who's around all my siblings. I mean, there's 7 kids. Most of my siblings are back in Alaska with my parents. And that means family Christmases and Thanksgivings. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. When I was up there, my mom talked shit about so many of my family. It wasn't, in the church, we called it Christian gossip. Well, I call it Christian gossip. They call it, you need to pray for her because she's pregnant by a black man and they're not married or whatever. Whatever they find salacious or gossipy. And yes, I did get to spend one whole day with just my mother. And instead of talking about us and healing our relationship, which I really was hoping for, we did do some of that in the last 10 minutes we were together, but most of the entire day was spent talking about all my cousins and my aunts and uncles and who's doing what and who did what and who is whatever and how they fucked up and how their life is miserable. And that's what families do. And no matter where you live, they're going to talk about you. I mean, that's what families do. Even good Christian families. You know, it's called catching up. Well, you don't know this, but so-and-so has a drinking problem now, and so-and-so's doing pills, and so-and-so is straight, but... You know, it's just the world that we live in. And I truly feel that in time, they will come around too. Because if my family can come around, I think yours will. But if your safety is still an issue, you said you were beat up when you were younger. If you're still being beat up, then you need to get out of Dodge. Your safety is always more important. No matter what, that's the bottom line. First and foremost, take care of you. Get somewhere safe where that you won't be harmed. But I will say, it was 10 solid years of tough love before my family started to come around and realize that they can't tough love me into changing. I'm not going to change. And I think that was really hard for them to realize, because I truly felt that if they prayed hard enough or loved me hard enough, that I would come around. And I didn't. Family's tough. And I truly hope that you can find whatever method works for you. Loving you is easy.